Good morning and welcome to our final Ask the Experts live session. Today we are joined by Laura from Refresh PR, and we're going to be going through everything that goes into her job, and she's going to be giving you an overall idea of what PR is, how it works, and what it's like to work in PR day to day. So as usually, if you've got any questions throughout the session, pop them into the comments. We'll be going through them when we can, and we'll get to them once we finish the questions. If you are watching this on replay, you can still pop your questions into the comment section and we will get back to you. If you have any problems at all, feel free to contact us. But let's get right into the session. So let's get Laura onto the screen. There we go. Hi, Laura. You all right?
Hi.
So Laura, why don't you give us a bit of a introduction as to who you are and what you do?
Okay, I'm Laura. I'm the MD of a PR agency in Manchester called Refresh PR. We are 10 people, 10 team members, and they range from directors and managers through to execs who are the more junior members of staff who just come into the industry. So when you work in a PR agency, you've got lots of different clients you work for. So they could be across lots of different sectors, or they could be within the same sector. And the main things we do for clients are help to raise awareness of them. And that could be by putting stories into the media about them. It could be helping them organise an event, or it could be doing their social media, for example. We also help them with crisis management. So if something does go wrong at their end and they ideally either need to potentially keep it out of the media, or if it's going to hit the media, then we make sure we manage the message with the media and make sure we try and get the right messages across for them. Or it could be that clients want to maybe change the perception of their industry, or their brand or their company as well. So they'd come to us and say, can you help us with this? How do we do it? So that in a crux is life in a PR agency.
Perfect, thank you. So we're just going to go through a couple of questions for you to get a more broad idea of your career. So you've had a variety of jobs in the PR industry throughout your career. Could you give us a timeline of your work experience?
Yeah, sure. I started work when I was 14 in a shop, earning £1.25 an hour. I don't know anybody that would do that now, and I don't advise it. But when I actually started kind of my first proper job, I joined a local company and the marketing team. And very soon afterwards, my boss said, how about you try PR? And I said, I've obviously no idea what that is, but yeah, let's give it a go. And I started working, raising awareness of that business within its sector, and also locally as well, to try and get more people to come and join the team there. So I then moved, that's what you call in-house. So you're working for an actual company. And I then said, right, okay, I want to see the other side of things, which is agency life. There were no PR agencies really near me. This is up in Morecambe in Lancashire, and there were no PR agencies in the year 2000. So I up sticks, moved to Manchester, so I could work in a PR agency. And I worked in a couple there, and then thought, I'm just going to start my own. And went solo and started my own with just me, working in my living room in my flat in Burnage, and it went from there.
That's so cool. That you've actually led on to our next question quite nicely there. So you are now managing director of Refresh PR. What entailed in starting your own business?
So I guess what led me to launch the business, I was working quite a lot of hours, so probably about 60, 70 hours a week, week in, week out. I was learning a lot. It was a really, really, really good experience. But I just thought, what, I just need a bit of a break here. So I just wanted a bit of a better work-life balance, which is why I ended up kind of leaving and saying, right, I'll try it myself, see what happens. If it doesn't work out, I can always go and do something else. But if it does work out, brilliant. So yeah, that's what kind of led me to, that was my motivator.
I was going to say work-life balance is really important. I bet you would have been exhausted working 60 to 70 hours a week.
Yeah, I mean, it was good because you were getting so much experience
Yeah.
and doing, it's new things every day. That's kind of one of the best things about PR. Every day you go in and you kind of have a to-do list, and by the end of the day, you've kind of not really done much of it because you've been doing other things instead.
Yeah.
So I guess if you kind of like quite steady work and you like to know exactly what you're going to be doing every day and every week of every month, it's probably not the career for you. But if you're okay to kind of think on your feet and kind of we need an idea for this, we need an idea for that, then it's a really good career to be in like that. It's very fast paced and exciting.
So cool. So the next question we've got for you is, what qualifications do you have?
I have got my A levels. I've got a degree in psychology from Loughborough. And then I went on, when I started my career in marketing, I went through the Chartered Institute of Marketing
Hmm.
courses. So I've got a diploma in marketing as well. So I did that on the job. That was, I'm not going to lie, that was quite tough to work and study at the same time. It's quite hard because all your friends are going out the weekend doing things and you're having to revise for an exam. But I did it quite early on in my work life. So I got it out of
Okay.
the way and did it. And then, I had it in the bag.
Yeah.
So I don't think you necessarily need both of those at all. But that's just the path I took.
No worries. And what has been your favorite job role during your time in the industry, and why? I'm sure there's quite a
Oh,
varied amount of things that you've done.
yeah, no, I definitely think the current one.
Okay.
I've done all sorts. When you work for a PR agency, you kind of when you actually work for them, you get given clients. So you
Yeah.
could be working on anything. So I've PR'd Bob the Builder,
Wow.
right through to hot chocolate, right through to bricks, and kind of everything in between. But I think my favourite role is the one I'm doing now, definitely. And that, if I'm honest with you, I'm in charge of my own destiny in a way.
Yeah.
I can I can choose who we work with and the clients we work with and the ones we don't work with as well. It's really important for me to get on board clients that are going to treat the team well, that are going
Hmm.
to be grateful for the hard work that the team puts in,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day have a positive impact on that team's life, and allow us to, I guess, come up with ideas and execute new ideas and give us a chance to say, okay, how about you try this and how about you try that? And they
Yeah.
say, yeah, and they're happy to take those ideas on board. So I think there's new challenges every day. But it's nice to kind of watch the team come in and then grow and develop. So people have
Yeah.
left Refresh and gone on, and there's some people who've left Refresh that they've gone on to do amazing things, and it's just nice to, I guess, think you had a bit of a hand in that, in helping
To
them
play a
on their
part
way.
in,
So
yeah, that
sounds
must
a
be
bit
really
cheesy, but
rewarding. No,
yeah.
it's nice. So what skills do you need most to succeed in the industry, would you say?
You need, I would say, quite honestly, a bucket load of kind of tenacity and resilience. You could phone a journalist and literally be halfway through your sentence pitching a story, and they put the phone down on you.
Yeah.
And you've got to, okay, right, no problem. Take it with a pinch of salt and crack on and make the next phone call and hope the next journalist isn't quite as busy and stressed as that one was. You need creativity. We've got to come up with new ideas, new angles. A client might say, I want this story in the media. And you're thinking, oh, it's not really news. So you've got to
Yeah.
make it into news. And so that's really, that's one of the best bits about it, that creativity, definitely. I think it's good to have passion for PR. And I think the best people who work in PR are the ones that follow the news agenda of the sectors they're interested in outside of work. So
Yeah.
then a client comes and they'll say, okay, how about I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that. And they can genuinely say, okay, well, the news agenda is going in this direction. I think this will work better. Or actually, yeah, you've got a really good idea, let's build on it. And that's how you really, I guess, gain your clients' trust and become a real expert in that sector. So I think it's quite important to follow PR agencies that work within sectors that you're interested in.
Hmm.
So it might be fashion PR, for example, or beauty PR, and there's PR agencies out there that specialize in that. Or it might be more kind of tradey ones. You might have a passion for fintech. I don't know. If you do, there's fintech agencies out there
Yeah.
that you can join. And then when you're following the news outside of work, that'll then help you with your job. I'd say good at writing, common sense. You cannot underestimate common sense, honestly. And just a willingness to just try. They're the things I kind of look for. If somebody's willing to try and they want to learn, we can teach them loads, and almost any agency can. So yeah, I think that attitude is really, really, really important.
I think you summed it up quite nicely there, actually. So the next question we've got is sort of leads on from that, actually, is what do you look for in people when recruiting?
So those main things. So common sense, definitely. You've got to be able to write, because I know it sounds daft, but a lot of the time you might have a social media post that needs to go out very, very quickly. To have that impact, it has to go straight away. So you don't want to be having to kind of copy check something that somebody's writing. You want to have faith that they're going to be able to get it right first time. And then we do look at kind of qualifications and also work experience as well. So I think a lot of it, if I'm absolutely honest with you, is just having the right attitude and that enthusiasm and having that spark. So when they come in for interview, you can see that they really want this, and they're going to be a real asset to our company, but also we're going to be able to really help them as well.
Yeah, so super cool. So the next question we've got is, as someone who is well experienced in the industry, which is valued more, work experience or qualifications? I know you sort of just touched on that, but you're leading on to my questions really nicely.
It's like a working PR. So I think both, if I'm honest with you. I'm going to sit on the fence. If you've got work experience, it shows that you're keen. You've obviously done your research. You know what it's like to work in this sector, and you've had a look at it, and it is for you. So you're not going to kind of join an agency and think nah and leave. I think as well, it's good to have that experience at different agencies, because then you can have a look at what's right for you. And then when you do go and apply for kind of a permanent job, it's what you've made an informed decision. But for me, qualifications are always going to be something that you're going to look at for people. So they are really, really, really important for me. Somebody else might tell you something different, but for me, it shows you can stick to something, you can see it out, you can get through, and you can ultimately deliver because you've delivered for yourself, getting that qualification.
No, 100%. It does show a level of knowledge, doesn't it? And work experience is also great to have, because it shows that you can do it.
Yeah.
So the next question we've got is, what advice could you give to someone who wanting to work in the PR industry? What's something that they might not know of or to expect?
I would say the number one thing that I get, so I'll get emails every day from particularly from students saying, can you give me an opportunity? And I'd absolutely love to. A lot of them, and I'm saying about 75% of them, have got spelling mistakes in them, typos in them. It'll say dear sir, dear madam, and I just want them to say dear Laura, because that means they've gone onto the website, they've done a bit of research, they've done a bit of reading around about it. So the ones for me that stand out, by and large, people email. Some people phone and just say, can I send a CV? If they do that, the message will go around the agency. This person's name has phoned in, and then when we get the email, you make sure you read it, because that you're expecting it. Yeah. So it does stand out for a start. But if you can tell the agency, why you want to work there. So I've had a look at your website. I like this client. I like that client. I've got a passion for this sector, and I know you work in it. That really, really, really helps you stand out. Just naming the person you're sending the email to. So you've got an email address, Laura at Refresh. Just put dear Laura. And it sounds common sense, but a lot of people don't do it, and it every time I'm like because it's just that extra little tiny thing really makes you stand out versus other people. So I think it doesn't matter what job you're going for, just those simple things. Just read and reread your email before you send it. Maybe get somebody else to check it for you. you cannot underestimate that, because that's your first impression. And I mean, I'll probably get about upwards of like 400 emails a day. So when I'm getting that many, I'm probably just reading the email title and probably reading the first sentence. And then I do try and answer everyone who emails me about a job, absolutely. But the ones that will get through and then be considered for the next job are the ones that have got it right first time in that covering email before I've even opened any attachment CV or anything, any experience portfolio. It's that email that will help you stand out.
See, I think that's really important because you've touched on a few things there as well. Just like researching into where you're applying for and going onto the website and just doing that bit of due diligence. It's a really small thing, but it really does help you get your foot in the door, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So the next question we've got is, what hours do you work? I know you touched on what you used to work, but what do you do now?
Used to work a lot. I'm really, really keen for myself and for the team to not ever go back to that way of working again, which it was probably cool when you were 20, 30, but not anymore. It's not cool now. So we are kind of all contracted to do 9 to half 5. There has to be an element of flex in that when you work in PR. When I worked in house, a lot of the time I'd have journalists phoning me at 4 o'clock on a Friday saying, we're about to break this story on your company. Can you provide us with a statement? And I'd find that I'd be sat there at 6 o'clock in the office on a Friday night preparing the statement while everyone else had gone home. But that's life in PR, because then the next day you see your statement in the media, you've managed the messages, and your company or your client is safe, and it's because of you ultimately. And that's kind of the trade-off. So we really try and work, kind of stick to that 9 to 5:30. And if we can get off early, I say to the team, please leave early, because it is like a roller coaster. Some days will be longer days. So when you can get a shorter day, get it and go home. That's not every agency. It depends, I think, probably where you work in the country and the culture of the agency. So I think it's probably another thing I haven't touched on, but all agencies have a bit of a personality, a culture and different values. So again, find what fits with you, and everybody's different. But yeah, by and large, we try and stick to that if we can. But I don't want to sugarcoat it and say it's a 9 to 5 job. Not. A lot of the time as well, if you're on social media, and you'll know yourself, you'll be scrolling in the evenings, having a look at your social media and having a look at what's going on. Somebody will do something somewhere that'll spark an idea, which then starts your brain thinking, and the next day you go into work, you can kind of execute that idea. So I think it's one of those where, if you've got the passion for it, you never quite manage to really switch off. But that's life.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, you can't control when the news hits. We touched on it there, the culture of different agencies. What would you, if someone was looking at applying for a PR agency, how would you say is the best way for them to sort of gauge what the culture of an agency is like? Would you just base it off the website, or is there any sort of tips you can give someone?
Definitely have a look at the social media. They will have a look at your social media as well. So I would say have a think about what you're posting on social media. If you've got a blog, have a think about the content of your blog before you start applying for jobs. Everything will always leave a digital trail, but HR people have only got so much time, so just make sure you're happy with what's on there. So have a look at their social media. I'd also say when you're going for that initial meeting with them and that initial interview, they're interviewing you, but there's nothing wrong with you kind of interviewing them as well. Please ask as many questions as possible. If I get to the end of an interview and I say to somebody, have you got any questions? And they say no, I'm thinking, why not? You should have a question. I can't have answered everything. So have a load of questions. And when they don't answer something, just, ask them, because you've got to make sure it's right for you. It's a big move. Particularly, for example, I moved about an hour and a half away from home. Didn't really know anyone, but I knew I wanted that job, so I had to make the move. So you want to make sure it's right. So you could have a look at the offices. Make sure you'd feel. Does it look like somewhere you'd feel comfortable in? You'd want to go every day. and maybe have a look at some of the work they've done as well. You know, you can literally Google search that agency and see what comes up. It's simple
Yeah.
as that. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Brilliant. So the next question might put you on the spot slightly, but what is something people don't know about your job and may surprise them? No, this is usually quite a hard question to answer off the bat.
Yeah. What can I say? I think a lot of people don't know. I had a conversation actually with my parents last week about this. A lot of people don't know that the majority of content, I'd say probably about 80% of content in the media, has been generated or influenced in some way by a PR person or a PR agency.
Yeah.
So as kind of journalists and the staff on magazines, the staff on newspapers have declined in recent years, they rely a lot more on PR people to go to them with news. They don't have a lot of time to kind of do a lot of investigating themselves and out and about like they used to, because there's not as many of them. So they rely on PR people to be kind of the interim between brands and companies, organisations and them. So yeah, a lot of what you see in the newspaper is down to PR people.
So
Yeah,
more. There's an impact that you just don't even know that is happening.
Yeah, it's so satisfying to see it in action. But yeah, it's. I think, you know, when, you know, my dad will come to me and say, "I've seen this, I've seen that," and you kind of, yeah, dad. So
Yeah.
it's when you see from the other side, it's yeah, it's quite interesting. But it's really, yeah, as I say, really satisfying career.
Cool. That actually takes us on to our final question. You're not allowed to use the same answer, but what is the most rewarding aspect of your job?
Most rewarding. I think my job now in running the agency, probably, as I said before, seeing people grow and develop and being able to kind of teach them everything you know, but then seeing them, I guess, take their own path as a result of it, or come up with their own conclusions as a result of it, and then go. They always say try and employ people who are better at that role than yourself, and then you'll have a really good agency. So I try and do that. Another, I guess, rewarding part of the job for me is helping clients through crisis situations. It's quite stressful at the time when it's happening, but afterwards, it's really quite satisfying to know you got them there. And that's a lot to do with, I guess, customer service skills in terms of managing the clients and making sure they don't panic and keeping calm. But also then knowing what to do with the media and with journalists, and how to come out of the situation as best you can. So I like the crisis situations as well. And I guess the creative side of things, we have a lot of brainstorms, which have the way they do them have been impacted because of COVID. So we've had to do a lot of Zoom brainstorms and Teams brainstorms. It's going to be nice to get back and actually do those in person, because the banter and the, you know, camaraderie that comes out of a brainstorm, and we'll do them probably 2-3 times a week.
It can be one of the funniest times of your day.
Yeah. It's nice to get together with the team, and just talk ideas, however wacky and crazy they are. So yeah, I guess that's a really rewarding part of it, because it's just fun and it makes the time at work enjoyable as well. So definitely, again, try and choose, if you're going into PR, try and choose an agency that maybe does a lot of those. You know, you can ask about that at the interview, and how they work those, because the last thing you want to be doing is having the pressure on you to come up with ideas yourself. You know, you want to have the support of the wider team who can help you.
Perfect. Oh, sorry. I think my camera froze there for a second. I was like, "Oh, are you still talking? I don't want to talk over you." But yeah, that actually brings us nicely to our last question, our final question. That was. That is the end of today's live stream. Thank you so much, Laura, for coming on and telling us all about your career and your current role at Refresh PR. If you do have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We will still answer them. Or if you want to talk more about what you want to do as a career, maybe Laura's inspired you and you want to go into PR, and you're not too sure what steps you need to take to do that, feel free to come and talk to our careers team. They're independent, so they'll be able to give you some helpful advice. We'll pop their link into the comments as well. And if you just want to find out more about the courses we offer that offer marketing and PR, we'll pop a link in the comments also. We'll also pop Laura's company, Refresh PR, into the comments so you can check that out and see what she does in more depth. But yeah, thank you again, Laura, for joining us. It was really interesting. And we hope you have a great day.